Well, I finally did it. Moved into the 20th century. I've gone 2.4 gig. So no more crystals and no more great big long antennas to deal with on models. So I'm going to slip some rechargeables in, fire it up, see if I can understand the manual. It's going to do what I want to do. I've got several models, but of course they've all got 35 in, which is why I've never switched to 2.4, but this was so cheap, 30 odd quid or something with a receiver, couldn't really say no. So I'm going to take a look at it, and then for the benefit of those people that are new to this kind of stuff, I'll show you how you connect a motor, a speed controller and servos to the receiver, and then how you connect that to the transmitter. So don't go away. Well, I slipped in 4 AA's rechargeables. I've seen people say they don't like the idea of using AA rechargeables. Well, personally I prefer it because everyone's got some of these kicking around. I'd probably put some Sanyo Any loops in because they keep their charge. But anyway, so first impression when I turned it on was good, because it fires up in English and actually gives me a little warning here. Place all switches in their up position and lower the throttle. Obviously they're thinking if I connect this to a model and it's got a motor on it, electric, it's going to, with a throttle up, it might well take my fingers off. And I've already been there. That's the end of my thumb there, which I'm 4 days in hospital when I chopped the end of my thumb off and had a stainless steel pin put down it. So that's good advice. I'm going to proceed a bit and see if I can understand the manual. But so far so good. Right, so where do we start? Now, I've been flying models for years, but on 35 meg, so I've got some understanding of terms and terminology, but let's just see how easy it is if you're completely new to 2.4 and completely new to this kind of kit. Let's see how easy it is to set this up. So first of all, I should say this is just a quick start guide. It's not actually a manual, so it doesn't actually tell you how to set models up, how to trim things, how to reverse servos and so on. I'll put a link down here to where you can download the PDF with the full instructions, and it is pretty straightforward. It's easy enough to fire it up, scroll through and make changes. But my video is intended to be just a basic guide for people new to radio control, which is why I'm going to show you some of the kit afterwards, how you connect up if say you're building yourself or whatever. I've got some stuff here connected up. I'll show you how that works. So let's get on with it. Now, one thing I do know about 2.4 gigahertz radio control is the transmitter has to be bound to the receiver. The transmitter and receiver have been pre-bound before delivery. Oh right, easy, so I don't actually have to bind it. Right, now let's see if I can make it work. So if you're not familiar at all with this kind of kit, for demonstration purposes, I've got a few components here. Of course, if you're buying a new model, you won't actually have to mess around with this stuff, but you still need some knowledge of how it works. And as I said, this is only intended to be the very basics of 2.4 gig transmitters and receivers. I'm not going to go into the reversing of servos, setting up different models on different channels, and all the other stuff this transmitter is capable of. There are plenty of videos on that subject online. So the components. This is what's called a speed controller, and a very basic speed controller has 3 wires which go to a brushless motor. They come in all, sometimes they come with terminals on here, sometimes they don't, sometimes you have to solder it. On this end you've got what is effectively a 5 volts power out, and that's where the battery plugs in, so that's pretty straightforward, and they come in different amperages. This is a 10 amp one which will only handle a pretty small motor. Battery goes on this end. There's loads of different types of connectors. This is called a JST. Now make sure all switches are up and the throttle is closed, and connect the power. Power into a receiver goes into number 3. You've got to make sure you get these the right way around. So it's negative on the outside into number 3. Obviously black is negative. You do have to make sure the throttle's closed. Now with a bit of luck I'll stop that beeping soon. So it's negative on the outside on number 3, which is 3's that one. Something's beeping. Well, now I'm going to connect this motor. Let's see what happens. And this is called a servo. This is what moves the ailerons and elevators up and down on a model plane. And this can plug in, if it's ailerons, it goes into number 1. brown is negative. Let's plug that in. I'll just show you a little close-up of that there. The throttle and the power are connected into channel 3. These are a bit offset, that's what confused me. Channel 3, but it's the third one up, 1, 2, 3, that's logical. Servos that move the control surfaces go into 1, 2 and 4. 1 aileron, 2 elevator, 4 rudder. And there are 6 channels there, so you could actually do some other stuff if you wanted, but very good for basic beginners. And it is shown very well in the manual as well, which looks okay. Well, if I can work it out, anyone can. So connect the power to this. It only goes in one way, easy. Ah, that's what I'm doing wrong there. All switches have to be up. Idiot boy, you see. Anyway, this is supposed to be the idiot's guide to this. Now if you can see here, servo is moving because it's in number 1, which is aileron port. Motor is in number 3, and lo and behold, we have contact. Error. I've got an error. 0x. Yeah, TX. No, TX is flashing. TX is low. It doesn't like my rechargeables. Right, well, that wasn't too bad, apart from a bit of idiocy from me not reading it properly. But I've got this connected. If I was actually trying to install it in a model, install the receiver, connect this to the appropriate channels on the receiver, connect that to the motor, and safer to do it without a prop on like that, because then you're not going to take your fingers off. Tell me about it. Actually, that was an IC engine that I was tuning. Not an electric one, but electric ones, especially big ones, are probably even more dangerous because they will fire into life if you accidentally knock that. I'm going to install it in a model. I've just built one out of foam from a design that I saw online. I've actually built quite a few out of foam board. Dead cheap stuff from Hobbycraft. 4 huge sheets of this for £10, and you can build a model out of a sheet, so £2.50 to build a plane. I will install it and then I'll show you how I got on with it, but that's going to be part 2. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say on this. Hope you found it useful. I did make 1 or 2 boobs there, like for example not having all the switches up. That one was in the mid position, but maybe you'll learn from my mistakes. I've got some more stuff coming up. I've got a couple more models that are in the stage of build, like my version of the flight test Versa here, which I've added a nose to and added an undercarriage, and also this little fun jet or Punjet, and the latest one I showed you previously. So there'll be some more model building videos coming up. Hope you found it useful. There's loads of flying stuff on my channel, paragliding, paramotoring, and even sailing and wildlife and stuff. Don't forget to click subscribe and the notification bell if you want to see more of my videos. But thanks for watching. That's it for now, and safe flying. Don't lose the end of your thumb.